What if I told you that the price you pay for groceries, rent, and even your job security is quietly influenced by wars happening thousands of miles away? Not directly, not obviously, but through something so basic, so ordinary, you barely question it. Oil. Every time a conflict breaks out somewhere in the world, something strange happens. Gas prices spike, markets panic, inflation creeps in, and suddenly, your everyday life becomes more expensive. But here's the real question no one explains clearly. Why does something happening in another country have so much control over the US economy? And more importantly, who actually benefits from the system? By the end of this video, you'll see how war, oil, and money are deeply connected, and why this cycle keeps repeating. Most people think oil is just for cars. That's the first misunderstanding. Oil is not just fuel, it's infrastructure. Take a look around your life for a second. Your phone case? Oil. The packaging your food comes in? Oil. The synthetic fibers in your clothes? Oil. The roads, the tires, the paint, even parts of your medicine supply chain. Oil is everywhere. Now, here's the key idea. Oil is not just a product, it's an input. That means it's used to produce almost everything else. So when oil prices rise, it's like raising the cost of the entire economy at once. Think of it like this. If electricity suddenly became 3 times more expensive, everything would get expensive overnight. Oil works in a similar way, just slower and more hidden. This is why oil shocks don't feel immediate. They spread. First, shipping companies pay more. Then manufacturers pay more. Then retailers adjust prices. And finally, you pay more. And by the time it reaches you, it feels like inflation just happened. But really, it started with energy.
Now, let's talk about war. Here's something most people don't realize. Oil doesn't just come from anywhere. It's concentrated. A huge portion of the world's oil flows through a few key regions and choke points, like narrow shipping routes, pipelines, and politically sensitive areas. Now, imagine this. A conflict breaks out near one of these regions. Even if no oil supply is immediately cut off, something critical happens. Uncertainty enters the system, and markets hate uncertainty. Traders, institutions, and governments start asking, what if supply gets disrupted? What if shipping routes are blocked? What if production drops next month? And that what if is enough. Prices start rising immediately. This is one of the most misunderstood parts of the economy. Prices are not based on today. They're based on what people think will happen tomorrow. So oil prices spike not just because of actual shortages, but because of fear of shortages. And fear moves faster than reality. Sometimes a rumor or a headline can move billions of dollars in minutes. That's how sensitive the system is.
Now, you might think, okay, but the US produces a lot of oil, so why does it still get affected? This is where things get counterintuitive. Oil is a global commodity. That means it has one interconnected price across the world. Even if the US produces enough oil domestically, it still trades in a global market. So if prices rise in Europe or Asia due to a conflict, prices rise in the US too. Why? Because producers will sell oil wherever they get the highest price. If global prices are high, US oil producers will export more, which reduces domestic supply, which pushes prices up inside the US. So the US cannot fully escape global oil shocks. It's locked into the system. Now let's connect the dots to something you feel directly: inflation. When oil prices rise, transportation becomes more expensive. Trucks, ships, planes, everything costs more to run. That increases the cost of moving goods. Then production costs rise. Factories pay more for energy and raw materials. Then businesses raise prices to maintain profits. And this spreads across the economy like a ripple effect.
Food prices rise because farming depends on fuel and fertilizers. Retail prices rise because shipping costs increase. Even services become more expensive. And suddenly, inflation is everywhere. But here's the twist. By the time inflation shows up in official data, the oil shock has already happened. You're reacting to something that started months ago.
Now comes the second wave, the part most people don't connect. When inflation rises, the Federal Reserve steps in. Its main tool? Interest rates. To slow down inflation, the Fed raises rates. This makes borrowing more expensive. Loans, credit cards, mortgages all become costlier. Now think about what that does. People spend less, businesses invest less, hiring slows down. This cools the economy, but it also creates pressure. Housing becomes less affordable, debt becomes harder to manage, growth slows. So now you have a chain reaction. War, oil prices, inflation, interest rates, economic slowdown. And most people only see the last step. They don't see the full chain. Now let's talk about the uncomfortable part. Because not everyone loses in this system. When oil prices rise, energy companies make higher profits. When conflicts increase, defense companies receive more contracts. When markets become volatile, certain financial players profit from price swings. So while everyday consumers are dealing with rising costs, some sectors are experiencing growth. This creates a system where pain and profit exist at the same time. And because powerful industries benefit from these conditions, there's less incentive for rapid change. Not necessarily because of conspiracy, but because of structure. Here's another layer most people never hear about. Oil is priced globally in US dollars. This system is often called the petrodollar system. What does that mean? Countries that want to buy oil need dollars. So when oil demand rises, demand for dollars often rises too. This strengthens the global role of the US currency. So even though high oil prices hurt US consumers, they can reinforce the US financial system globally. It's a strange balance. Domestic pain, global power. And that's part of why the system is so complex and hard to change. You might be thinking, why don't we just move away from oil? The answer is simple but frustrating. Because the entire world is built on it. Switching to alternative energy isn't just about technology, it's about infrastructure. It's about replacing supply chains, transportation systems, manufacturing processes, everything. And that takes decades. So even though change is happening, oil still dominates the present, which means this cycle of conflict to oil shock to economic impact is not going away anytime soon. Here's the truth most people never fully connect. The economy isn't just numbers, charts, or policies. It's power. It's resources. It's control over energy. War reshapes supply. Oil transmits that shock. And the economy absorbs it. So the next time something feels off in the economy, look beyond the headlines, because the real cause might not be visible, but it's always connected.
So where does this leave you? You can't control global conflicts. You can't control oil markets, but you can understand the pattern, and that gives you an edge. When you see oil prices rising, you can anticipate inflation. When inflation rises, you can expect interest rates to follow. When rates rise, you can prepare for economic slowdown. This turns confusion into clarity. Instead of reacting late, you start thinking ahead.
Once you see how war and oil move the system, you stop reacting to the economy and start understanding it.